Captain Eric Lambert couldn't believe what he was seeing. His hands trembled as he scrolled through the encrypted messages on his terminal. The dim light of his private quarters aboard the EDF Valiant cast shadows across his face, deepening the lines of worry forming there. "Computer, verify source authenticity again," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Source authenticated with 99.8% certainty, Captain," the AI responded. Messages originated from Grand Council Chamber, Galactic Hub Station. Eric ran his hands through his short brown hair. The evidence was undeniable. The Galactic Council, Earth's supposed allies for the past 40 years, had secretly agreed to sacrifice the entire Sol system to the Void Dominion. In exchange, the Council's core worlds would be spared from the Dominion's expansion. He needed to contact Admiral Morgan immediately. "Secure line to Admiral Susan Morgan," he ordered. "Priority Alpha." Within moments, the stern face of Admiral Morgan appeared on screen. Her gray hair was pulled back in its usual tight bun, but even at this late hour, her eyes were sharp and alert. "Lambert, this better be important," she said. "Ma'am, I've intercepted communications between High Chancellor Renvok and the Void Dominion leadership. They've made a deal." Eric sent the files through their secure channel. "The Council is giving them Earth." The Admiral's expression remained stoic as she reviewed the files, but Eric noticed her shoulders tense. "How did you get these?" "The new quantum decryption protocol. We were testing it on routine Council transmissions when we caught this. They don't know we can break their codes." Admiral Morgan was silent for nearly a minute. "Get back to Earth immediately, Captain. Tell no one about this. I'm calling an emergency meeting." The screen went dark, leaving Eric alone with the weight of what he'd discovered. Thousands of light years away on Centauri Prime, diplomatic liaison Olivia Wright felt something was wrong. For the third time that week, a council representative had canceled a scheduled meeting with her. The Galactic Embassy's halls, normally buzzing with diplomats and delegates, felt strangely empty. "Liaison Wright," a voice called from behind her. Olivia turned to see Kilara, her Araxian assistant, hurrying toward her. The blue-skinned alien looked nervous, her antenna twitching rapidly. "The Pellerin delegation just departed the station," Kilara said quietly. "They left without filing any departure plans." Olivia frowned. "That's the fourth species to leave this week." "There are rumors," Kilara whispered, leaning closer. "Some say the Council has made a deal with someone dangerous." Olivia thought for a moment. "I need to speak with Ambassador Xelfar." Finding the ambassador proved difficult. When she finally cornered him in a quiet corridor, his usually friendly demeanor was replaced with obvious discomfort. "Ambassador Wright, this is not a good time," he said, his large eyes darting around. "What's happening?" Olivia asked directly. "Why is everyone avoiding Earth representatives?" Zelthar's skin changed from its normal green to a pale yellow. "Some decisions are made for the greater good of the galactic community." "What decisions?" Olivia pressed. "I've always respected humans," he said, backing away. "Your species showed such promise. I'm sorry." Before she could respond, he hurried away. A cold feeling settled in Olivia's stomach. She needed to report this to Earth immediately. Back on Earth, Admiral Morgan stood before the 12 members of the Defense Council. The room was silent as they reviewed Captain Lambert's discovery. "If these communications are authentic," President Diane Foster said finally, "then we're facing the greatest betrayal in human history." "They are authentic," Admiral Morgan confirmed. "And based on fleet movements our outposts have detected, the Void Dominion is already mobilizing." President Foster's face hardened. "How long do we have?" "Weeks, maybe days." The president stood. "Then we have no choice. Activate Protocol Omega. It's time the galaxy learned that humanity is not so easily sacrificed." Dr. Alan Parker hadn't slept in 36 hours. His eyes burned as he stared at the holographic display, showing hundreds of energy signatures moving toward Earth's outer defense perimeter. "Run the comparison again," he told his assistant. The young scientist nodded and input the commands. Moments later, the computer displayed its findings. 99.7% matched to Void Dominion vessel signatures. "We need to alert command," Alan said, reaching for the secure communication terminal. Within an hour, the Luna Observatory's findings were being presented to Earth's leadership in the underground war room beneath New Washington. "The energy signatures confirm it," Alan explained, pointing to the display. "These are definitely Void Dominion ships, exactly matching the fleet movements mentioned in the intercepted Council communications." President Foster's face was grim. "How many?" "At least 300 capital ships, with possibly thousands of smaller vessels," Alan replied. "They're still beyond Neptune's orbit, but moving steadily inward." Military Commander Frank Rivera stood. "Madam President, with your permission, I'll begin full mobilization of our defense forces." "Proceed," she said. "And what about Protocol Omega?" Admiral Morgan stepped forward. "The Shadow Fleet is being activated as we speak." Across the room, some officials exchanged confused glances. The Shadow Fleet was known only to a select few. Earth's ultimate secret, hidden from the galactic census for decades. "What about diplomatic channels?" someone asked. President Foster nodded to Olivia Wright, who had been rushed back to Earth after her concerning encounter with Ambassador Xelfar. "I've requested an emergency council session," Olivia said. "They've scheduled it for next week." "Next week will be too late," Commander Rivera growled. "They know that," Olivia replied softly. "That's the point." President Foster stood. "Then we proceed with Protocol Omega immediately. The Council has betrayed us, and the Void Dominion is coming. It's time to show them both who they're really dealing with." Far from Earth, deep within the asteroid belt, Commander Paul Harrison received the activation codes he had trained for his entire career, but never expected to use. "Authentication confirmed," he said, placing his palm on the scanner. "Initiating Shadow Fleet activation sequence." Around him, the supposedly uninhabited asteroid began to transform. Massive sections of rock slid away, revealing hangar bays and launch tubes. Lights flickered on throughout the hollowed-out interior, illuminating dozens of sleek warships that officially didn't exist. Paul opened a channel to all bay commanders. "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Prepare all vessels for immediate deployment." He watched as crews rushed to their ships. These men and women had lived dual lives for years, officially assigned to standard Earth defense posts, but secretly training for this moment. Paul's second-in-command, Lieutenant Natalie Brooks, joined him on the command platform. "All ships reporting ready status," she informed him. "The Lincoln and Washington battle groups are already powering up." "And the special weapons systems?" Paul asked quietly. "Online and functional," Natalie confirmed. "Though I hope we don't need to use them." Paul nodded grimly. The technologies equipped on these ships, some reverse-engineered from recovered alien craft, others developed in secret Earth labs, violated at least a dozen Galactic Council treaties, but now it seemed those treaties had been meaningless all along. "Commander," a communications officer called out, "we're receiving a strategy briefing from Central Command. Lieutenant Brooks is specifically requested to review and implement." Natalie raised an eyebrow, but stepped forward to receive the transmission. As Earth's top tactical analyst, her brilliance had earned her this position despite her relatively young age. She studied the plans for several minutes, her expression growing increasingly determined. "These tactics could work," she said finally, "but they require revealing everything we've kept hidden. There's no going back if we do this." Paul looked around at the fleet that represented humanity's best-kept secret. "I think we're well past the point of no return, Lieutenant. The Council made their choice when they decided Earth was expendable. Then let's make them regret that decision," Natalie said, her eyes flashing with resolve. "They think we're helpless. They're about to learn how wrong they are." The Shadow Fleet was humanity's greatest secret. For decades, while presenting a face of compliance to the Galactic Council, Earth had been building. Commander Paul Harrison stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, watching as ship after ship powered up around him. Their sleek black hulls absorbed light rather than reflected it, making them nearly invisible against the darkness of space. "Status report," Paul ordered. "All 27 capital ships online." Lieutenant Brooks replied from her tactical station. "Support vessels will be ready in 30 minutes. Paul nodded, allowing himself a moment of pride. These ships represented the true face of human innovation, unburdened by the Council's technology restrictions. "The Council believes we have only 50 outdated cruisers," he said quietly. "They've never seen our real capabilities. And the Void Dominion is in for an even bigger surprise," Natalie added with a grim smile. The Defiance's main screen activated, showing Admiral Morgan from Earth Command. "Commander Harrison, is the fleet ready?" she asked without preamble. "Yes, Admiral. Awaiting your orders." Admiral Morgan's expression was solemn. "Before we proceed, all command staff need to understand what we're about to do. Once we reveal the Shadow Fleet, there's no going back. The Council will view this as a violation of every treaty we signed." "With respect, Admiral," Paul replied, "those treaties became meaningless when they sold us out to the Void Dominion." "Agreed. But you should know, President Foster has authorized the full response package." A hush fell over the bridge. The full response package meant deploying technologies that even most of Earth's military didn't know existed. "Understood," Paul said. "What are our orders?" "First, we implement Lieutenant Brooks' strategy," the Admiral said. "Natalie, take the floor." Natalie stepped forward, bringing up a tactical display. "The Void Dominion believes they're facing minimal resistance," she began. "Their formation shows they expect to overwhelm our defenses quickly. But we're going to set a trap." She highlighted key positions throughout the solar system. "We've placed quantum mines at these coordinates, undetectable until activated. Our first move is to draw their main fleet here." She pointed to an area near Jupiter's orbit. "When they enter this zone, we'll spring the trap, then deploy the Shadow Fleet in a pincer movement." Paul studied the plan. "They'll still outnumber us." "Not for long," Natalie said. "That's when we activate our secret weapon." The display shifted to show a massive device hidden within Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. "The gravitic disruptor," Admiral Morgan explained. "It will disable their propulsion systems within a 50,000-kilometer radius. Their ships will be sitting ducks." On Earth, final preparations were underway. In a secure facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, engineers prepared the specialized probes that would carry Earth's message to every Council homeworld. Chief Engineer Laura Reed inspected the last probe before it was loaded. "Each one contains the full evidence package," she explained to President Foster. "Complete recordings of the Council's deal with the Dominion, proof of the fleet movements, and our warning." "And they can't be stopped?" the President asked. "They use modified jump technology. They'll appear directly in the target atmospheres. No warning, no chance to intercept." President Foster nodded. "How soon can they be deployed?" 2 hours, Laura replied. "Once launched, they'll reach all 18 Council homeworlds simultaneously." "Good." The President turned to her aide. "Prepare the final message." The aide handed her a datapad. Foster read the message one last time before approving it. "To the Galactic Council, we know of your treachery. You have betrayed not only Earth but the principles upon which this alliance was founded. You have 72 hours to recall your forces and denounce the Void Dominion. Failure to comply will trigger consequences beyond your imagination. If you value your civilizations, flee." "Is it too direct?" the aide asked nervously. President Foster handed back the pad. "It's exactly direct enough. The time for diplomacy ended when they decided we were expendable." Back on the Defiance, Paul received the latest intel from Earth's stealth probes. "The Dominion fleet has crossed Neptune's orbit," he informed his crew. "They'll reach the Jupiter perimeter in 14 hours. "And our message to the Council?" Natalie asked. "Will be delivered in 2, Paul replied. Then we'll see who blinks first. He gazed out at his assembled fleet, humanity's hidden strength finally about to be revealed. All ships, prepare for jump positions, he ordered. It's time to show the galaxy why humans should never be underestimated. The stealth probes launched silently from Earth, cutting through space with technology that made them invisible to standard sensors. Each one carried Earth's final warning and evidence of the Council's betrayal. In the central control room, President Foster and her team watched as 18 lights appeared on the main display, one for each Council homeworld. All probes away, reported Communications Officer Ben Kelly. Estimated arrival in 45 minutes. President Foster nodded. There was no turning back now. On Galeria, the Galactic Council's capital world, High Chancellor Zrenvok addressed the Inner Circle, the 5 most powerful members who truly controlled Council policy. The Void Dominion fleet proceeds as planned, he said, his long tentacles waving with satisfaction. Earth suspects nothing. Their primitive defenses will be overwhelmed within hours. Councillor Drez of the Thul Confederacy shifted uncomfortably, and we are certain the Dominion will honor our arrangement. Once they have Earth. They need our resources, Zrenvok interrupted. This partnership benefits both sides. We gain protection. They gain new territory. A small sacrifice for our continued prosperity. A soft tone interrupted their meeting. Urgent communication from security, announced an aide. Not now, Zrenvok snapped. We are discussing critical. The aide's voice trembled. Sir, unknown devices have appeared in the atmospheres of all Council worlds. They're broadcasting some kind of message. Before anyone could respond, the chamber screens activated on their own. The stern face of President Foster appeared before the stunned Council members. Members of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice calm but ice-cold. We have discovered your betrayal. The room erupted in shocked murmurs as evidence began playing across the screens, their secret communications with the Void Dominion, detailed maps of Earth's territory marked for conquest, recordings of their private meetings. How did they get this? Hissed Councillor Mira of the Pellerin Federation. These were secure channels. President Foster continued. We know of your treachery. You have 72 hours to recall your forces and denounce the Void Dominion. Failure to comply will trigger consequences beyond your imagination. If you value your civilizations, flee. The message ended, but the evidence continued playing in an endless loop that couldn't be shut off. High Chancellor Zrenvok slammed his appendage on the table. This is nothing but primitive posturing. They have no power to threaten this council. But across the chamber, fear had replaced confidence. These humans had somehow breached their most secure communications. What else might they be capable of? Similar scenes played out across 18 worlds. On 7 of them, government leaders immediately called emergency meetings. On 5 others, civilian populations who also received the broadcast began protesting in the streets, demanding answers about the apparent betrayal of Earth. Back on the Defiance, Commander Harrison received confirmation that all probes had successfully delivered their messages. Now we wait, he told his crew. Either they back down, or we show them exactly what humanity can do. Lieutenant Brooks approached with a datapad. Sir, we're detecting unusual communication patterns among Council species. Several appear to be withdrawing their ships from the joint fleet. They're fracturing already, Paul said with satisfaction. But what about the Dominion fleet? Still advancing, Natalie replied. No change in course or speed. Paul nodded grimly. As expected, prepare all ships for Phase 1 response. On Galeria, the Council chamber had descended into chaos. Representatives from minor species demanded explanations, while the Inner Circle tried desperately to maintain control. We cannot allow humans to dictate terms to this council. Zrenvok shouted above the din. They are bluffing. What could one primitive species possibly do against our combined might? From the back of the chamber, a voice spoke quietly but clearly. Perhaps we should ask the archivists about human history. Heads turned toward Ambassador Korla of the Navari, one of the oldest species in the council. What do you mean? Zrenvok demanded. The archivists have studied Earth longer than anyone, Korla replied. They have a saying about humans. They appear peaceful until threatened. Then they become something else entirely. Perhaps we should consider this warning more carefully. But High Chancellor Zrenvok was unmoved. The plan proceeds. The Void Dominion will deal with Earth, and this council will not be intimidated by empty threats. As the debate raged on, the countdown ticked steadily toward 0. 72 hours passed. Earth's ultimatum expired with no official response from the Galactic Council leadership. On the bridge of the Defiance, Commander Harrison received the coded message he had been expecting. Phase 1 is authorized, he announced to his crew. Prepare the Starhawk for immediate deployment. The smallest vessel in the Shadow Fleet, the Starhawk, was also the most advanced. Its special jump drives could take it anywhere in the galaxy within minutes, technology the Council believed was centuries beyond human capability. Captain Lisa Moore strapped herself into the command chair of the Starhawk. At 34, she was one of Earth's most decorated pilots, chosen specifically for this mission. Jump coordinates locked in, she reported. All systems green. Captain Moore. Commander Harrison's voice came through the comm. You understand the importance of this mission? Yes, sir, Lisa replied. Make a statement, but harm no one. Exactly. This is a demonstration, not an attack. Show them what we can do, then get your ship home safely. Understood. Starhawk ready for jump. The sleek black vessel disappeared in a flash of blue light, bypassing normal space to emerge instantly at its destination. Thul Mera, the most heavily defended military outpost in Council space. Alarms blared throughout the Thul Meran defense network as sensors detected the unexpected arrival. Hundreds of defense platforms automatically targeted the small Earth vessel. Unknown ship, you have entered restricted military space, came the immediate warning. Power down and prepare to be boarded, or you will be destroyed. Inside the Starhawk, Lisa remained calm, deploying the pulse in 3, 2, 1. She pressed a single button on her console. A wave of energy spread outward from the ship, completely invisible to the naked eye. As it passed each defense platform, weapon system, and warship, their lights flickered and died. Within 30 seconds, the entire Thul Meran defense fleet, over 200 ships and platforms, drifted powerless in space. Life support and basic systems remained functional, but weapons, shields, engines, and communications went completely dark. The mighty Thul Meran fleet, pride of the Council's military, had been neutralized without firing a single shot. Lisa opened a channel that would reach every vessel and the outpost itself. This was a demonstration, not an attack. She broadcast clearly. Had we wished destruction, nothing would remain. You have 48 hours to comply with our original terms. Without waiting for a response, the Starhawk activated its jump drive and vanished. Back on Earth, Intelligence Officer Gray Harrison sorted through the flood of intercepted Council communications. The Thul Mera demonstration had created exactly the chaos they had hoped for. Sir, he called to Admiral Morgan, I'm detecting unusual encrypted transmissions between several Council species, the Araxians, Navari, and Solari. They're using a frequency outside normal Council protocols. Admiral Morgan leaned over his terminal. Can you break the encryption? Greg's fingers flew across his keyboard. Already done. It appears they're discussing breaking away from the Council leadership. They claim they were coerced into supporting the Void Dominion Pact. Potential allies? The Admiral asked. Possibly. They seemed genuinely afraid of both the Council and the Dominion. And Greg paused, his eyes widening. They're specifically requesting contact with Earth. They want to help us. Admiral Morgan considered this development. Monitor their communications. If they're sincere, this could change everything. On Galeria, the Council chamber had become a battlefield of shouting voices and accusations. High Chancellors Renvok struggled to maintain order as representatives demanded explanations about what had happened at Thulmera. "This changes nothing," he shouted, his skin flushing dark purple with rage. "One ship with one unusual weapon does not make humans a threat to this council." Ambassador Korla rose again. "Chancellor, they disabled our most fortified outpost without firing a single shot. They sent one ship against 200. What more evidence do you need of their capabilities?" "They are bluffing," Zrenvok insisted. "If they had such power, why show restraint? Why not simply destroy Thulmera?" "Because," Korla said quietly, "unlike you, they do not wish unnecessary bloodshed. But make no mistake, if pushed further, they will not hesitate to use their full strength." As the debate continued, 7 council species formally announced their withdrawal from joint operations. The council, which had stood united for centuries, was beginning to crumble. And still, the Void Dominion fleet advanced toward Earth. The news from Thulmera spread like wildfire across the galaxy. The once mighty Galactic Council began to fracture as species chose sides. Some remained loyal to High Chancellors Renvok, while others declared neutrality, wanting no part in what was quickly becoming a galactic crisis. 3 species, the Araxians, Navari, and Solari, took the bold step of reaching out to Earth directly. Their message was simple. They had been forced into supporting the Council's deal with the Void Dominion through blackmail and threats. Admiral Morgan brought this information to President Foster immediately. "Can we trust them?" the President asked. "Unknown," the Admiral replied honestly. "But Intelligence Officer Gray Harrison believes their fear is genuine. They're terrified of both the Council leadership and the Void Dominion." President Foster considered this carefully. "We need allies, but we can't risk another betrayal. Arrange a meeting, but take every precaution." Commander Jack Wilson was chosen to meet with the potential allies. His background in both military tactics and diplomacy made him the perfect choice for such a delicate mission. The meeting was set on Proxima Station, a neutral trading post at the edge of human space. Jack arrived with a small security team and waited in a private room as representatives from the 3 species entered one by one. The Araxian representative spoke first, her blue skin shimmering nervously under the lights. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us," she said. "I am Ambassador Tellara. What the Council did was wrong. Many of us opposed it, but Zrenvok controls the military. Those who spoke against him publicly disappeared." The Navari ambassador, a tall, thin being with silver eyes, nodded in agreement. "We have information you need. The Void Dominion has been manipulating Council politics for decades. They have agents everywhere, using mind control technologies to influence key leaders." Jack kept his expression neutral, but his mind raced. "Do you have proof of these claims?" The Solari representative, a being composed of shifting light patterns, moved forward. A data crystal appeared in the air before Jack. "This contains everything we've gathered. Council meeting records, movement patterns of suspected Dominion agents, and communication logs." Jack took the crystal carefully. "Why come to us now? Why not earlier?" "Your demonstration at Thulmera," Ambassador Tellara explained. "It showed us you might actually have the power to stand against the Dominion. No one has successfully resisted them before." "We want to help," the Navari added. "Our ships are small but fast. Our technology is different from yours. Together, we might stand a chance." Jack nodded slowly. "I'll bring your offer to Earth. But know this, if this is another trap, our response will make Thulmera look like a friendly greeting." Meanwhile, on Galeria, chaos erupted as news spread throughout the Council headquarters. High Chancellor Zrenvok was found dead in his private chambers, apparently killed by his own guards. Investigation revealed the guards were not who they appeared to be. They were Void Dominion agents who had been maintaining the Chancellor's cooperation through threats and blackmail for years. The Council fell into disarray. Some species immediately recalled their ships and representatives. Others demanded emergency meetings to determine a new path forward. In the midst of this confusion, additional evidence began circulating. Records showing how the Void Dominion had been manipulating council politics through infiltration and mind control technologies for centuries. The revelations confirmed everything the three breakaway species had told Commander Wilson. As news of these events reached Earth, Admiral Morgan met with Commander Harrison and Lieutenant Brooks to update their strategy. "The Council is crumbling," the Admiral explained. "But the Void Dominion fleet hasn't slowed. In fact, they've accelerated their approach. They know they're losing their advantage of surprise," Lieutenant Brooks suggested. "They're trying to reach Earth before we can fully mobilize. Then we need to be ready," Admiral Morgan said grimly. "The Shadow Fleet is our best hope, but even with our new potential allies, we're outnumbered." "Numbers aren't everything," Commander Harrison replied with confidence. "They still don't know what we're truly capable of." As they spoke, long-range sensors detected the Void Dominion fleet crossing the orbit of Mars. The invasion of Earth was about to begin. The Void Dominion fleet darkened space as it approached Earth. Thousands of ships, their hulls painted deep purple with glowing red marks, moved in perfect formation. They had conquered dozens of worlds before, and none had successfully resisted. They expected an easy victory. They were wrong. As the first wave of Dominion ships crossed the orbit of Mars, they triggered the first of Earth's hidden defenses. Quantum mines, invisible until activated, suddenly blinked into existence. Explosions rippled across the Dominion's forward fleet, destroying nearly 100 ships in seconds. On the Defiance, Commander Harrison watched the enemy's confusion with grim satisfaction. "They didn't expect that," he said. "Deploy the Shadow Fleet. Follow Lieutenant Brooks' battle plan exactly." The black ships of Earth's hidden fleet emerged from their concealment points throughout the solar system. They moved with impossible speed, their advanced engines leaving trails of blue light. Colonel Samantha Kelly led the first attack wing. Her squadron of 20 ships darted between the massive Dominion vessels, firing precisely at vulnerable points that Lieutenant Brooks had identified in her analysis. "Focus on their propulsion systems," Samantha ordered her pilots. "Don't get drawn into prolonged engagements. Hit and move." The Shadow Fleet struck with surgical precision, disabling Dominion ships without destroying them when possible. This was not just battle tactics, it was psychological warfare. The Dominion expected humans to fight desperately for survival, not to show restraint and superior strategy. As the battle spread across the space between Mars and Earth, another surprise awaited the invaders. Massive shield generators, hidden within the moons of Jupiter, suddenly activated. A protective energy barrier expanded outward, surrounding Earth, the Moon, and nearby space stations. Inside Earth's defense headquarters, President Foster watched the battle unfold. "Activate the Europa device," she ordered. Deep within Jupiter's moon Europa, the gravitational disruptor powered up. A wave of energy pulsed outward, invisible but devastating. As it washed over the Dominion fleet, their engines failed. Hundreds of ships drifted helplessly in space, unable to maneuver or retreat. The Dominion commander, a being named Vexinar, watched in growing horror as his unstoppable fleet was being systematically disabled by technology he had never seen before. "Impossible," he hissed through sharp teeth. "These humans are supposed to be primitive. The Council assured us." "Sir," his second-in-command interrupted, "we're detecting new ships entering the battle." 3 fleets of unfamiliar vessels appeared at the edges of the solar system. The Araxians, Navari, and Solari had arrived with reinforcements. Their ships were smaller than the massive Dominion vessels, but moved with incredible speed and coordination. The combined forces of Earth and its new allies pushed the Dominion back. What had been planned as a swift conquest had become a desperate battle for survival. On the Defiance, Lieutenant Brooks approached Commander Harrison with urgent news. "Sir, we've identified the Dominion command ship. It's hanging back behind their main fleet." Harrison studied the tactical display. "Can we reach it?" "Not with conventional ships," Brooks replied. But Major Daniel Cooper's Special Forces team believes they can infiltrate it using the stealth shuttle. Harrison considered the risk. What's the objective? Intelligence gathering, Brooks explained. If we can access their central command computers, we might learn the location of their homeworld and central command structure. Harrison nodded. Authorize the mission. But make it clear, this is extraction of information only. No unnecessary risks. Major Daniel Cooper and his team of 6 prepared for their mission in the launch bay of the Defiance. They wore advanced stealth suits that bent light around them, making them nearly invisible. Remember, Daniel told his team, we get in, access their central computer core, download everything we can, and get out. No heroics, no revenge. The information we bring back could end this war before it truly begins. The small stealth shuttle departed the Defiance, slipping between the chaotic battle lines toward the massive Dominion command ship. As they approached, Daniel couldn't help but feel they were making history. Humans had been underestimated, betrayed, and marked for conquest. Now they would show the galaxy why that was a terrible mistake. Major Daniel Cooper's team moved silently through the Dominion command ship. Their stealth suits made them nearly invisible as they navigated the dark corridors toward the central computer core. Security is lighter than expected, whispered Lieutenant Sarah Jenkins, Daniel's second-in-command. They never thought anyone could board their ship. Pride before the fall, Daniel replied quietly. Stay focused. They reached the massive doors of the central computer room. 2 guards stood watch, their scaled skin gleaming under the harsh lights. Daniel signaled his team. 2 members moved forward silently and placed small devices on the guards' armor. The devices activated with a soft pulse, and both guards collapsed unconsciously to the floor. We have 15 minutes before they're discovered missing, Daniel said. Move fast. Inside the computer room, tech specialist Kevin Ward connected to the Dominion systems. I'm in, he said after a tense minute. Downloading everything. Star charts, fleet positions, command structures. There's so much here. Focus on their homeworld coordinates and defense systems, Daniel ordered. Sir, Sarah called from her position near the door. I found something else. It looks like records of infiltration operations. They've had agents in dozens of worlds for centuries, including Earth. Daniel joined her at the terminal. Download it all. This could explain how the Council was manipulated so easily. Kevin's terminal suddenly beeped urgently. Download complete, but we've triggered some kind of alert. We need to go now. The team moved quickly back through the corridors as alarms began to sound throughout the massive ship. They'd reached their stealth shuttle just as Dominion troops flooded the hangar bay. Take off. Now, Daniel ordered the pilot. The shuttle slipped away from the command ship as energy weapons fired at them. Their stealth technology and the chaos of the ongoing battle allowed them to escape back to the Defiance. Admiral Morgan received their intelligence immediately. The information was more valuable than anyone had hoped. Complete details of the Dominion power structure, homeworld defenses, and evidence of centuries of manipulation across the galaxy. Broadcast this to all ships and all Council worlds, she ordered. Everyone needs to see the truth. The evidence spread rapidly. Recordings showed how the Dominion had manipulated the Council for generations, using mind control, blackmail, and infiltration. Their ultimate goal was not just conquest of Earth, but of the entire galaxy. As this information circulated, the remaining Council loyalists surrendered or fled. The combined fleets of Earth and its new allies pushed back the Dominion invasion force, which retreated in disarray now that their command ship was compromised and their secrets exposed. 2 weeks later, representatives from over 30 species gathered in Earth orbit aboard the newly commissioned diplomatic vessel Unity. The old Galactic Council was gone, replaced by a new alliance based on mutual defense and transparency. Admiral Morgan stood before the gathered delegates, her uniform crisp and her expression solemn. The betrayal we faced nearly destroyed us all, she said. But we humans have a saying. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Today we are stronger together. The stars will not witness our extinction, but our ascension." The chamber erupted in applause. For the first time, many species looked at humans with genuine respect rather than condescension. On the observation deck of the Defiance, Captain Eric Lambert stared out at the vast fleet of Allied ships now protecting Earth. His discovery of the Council's betrayal had changed the course of galactic history. "Captain," a young officer said, approaching him, "we're receiving a transmission from the exploring vessel Discovery. They'd found something beyond the outer rim." Eric reviewed the message and felt a familiar chill. The Discovery had detected energy signatures matching another expansionist empire beyond known space. "Alert Admiral Morgan," he said. "Our challenges aren't over." But as he looked out at the assembled fleet, Earth ships alongside Araxian, Neveri, Solari, and a dozen other allies, he felt something he hadn't expected: hope. Humanity had faced betrayal and survived. They'd been underestimated and proved their strength. Whatever came next, they wouldn't face it alone or unprepared. The galaxy had learned an important lesson: never underestimate humans when their backs are against the wall. Those who tried had been given fair warning. Flee. Those who ignored that warning were no longer a threat. And for any future enemies, the warning would remain the same.